So what I've done is I went on Aliexpress, and they have you can buy electronic components at Aliexpress on the internet. You can actually buy from wholesalers in China, and you get a fairly decent price. But then you don't always know what you're getting, and you can buy different packs. You can buy capacitor packs, resistor packs, transistors, integrated circuit packs, and they have a variety of different components in them. Supposedly they're all, quality brand name components. Well, not brand name, but quality components. So I bought a electrolytic capacitor pack on AliExpress, and this is what the description is. It says one set of 120 pieces of 12 values. So each value you get 10 different capacitors, or 10 capacitors of the same value, and you get 12 packs of these, so 120 total. From 0.22 microfarad up to 470 microfarad aluminum electrolytic capacitor assortment kit set pack. And I paid a whopping, I didn't pay $2.31. That's the price it is today. I actually paid, back when the dollar was converted at a better rate, I paid $2.18 Canadian. That'd probably work out to about $1.50, or sorry, about $1.50 American, maybe, who knows. But so paid 218 pennies for 120, so roughly 2 cents each. Let's say 2 cents a capacitor, which is, you might think, oh, that's a good price considering I go to DigiKey and I buy in bulk 100 lots capacitors. I'm paying anywhere from 13 all the way up to 50 cents a capacitor, depending on the quality and the value. Of course, it goes beyond that too, but for quality capacitors from DigiKey, these are, I'm probably paying 7 or 8 times what these would cost. So I just want to go and look at some of these. They're all brand new caps. I just want to see what we're getting for our money. This one, for example, is a 470 microfarad at 16 volts. And let's see what the old capacitor tester tells us on this one. So right away it's not a good sign. 470 microfarad capacitor dials in at 361 microfarads, which is 110 microfarads less than the rated capacitance, which is not good. The ESR on this 470 should be 0.18, and we are at 2.28, so we're a tenth of an ohm higher than our spec. So right away, this is going to tell you that we're not getting quality here. This is not what it advertises to be. And these are ChongX. I don't know if you can see that. ChongX. And they have vent, but it's not even spelt correctly. It's VEHT instead of VENT. And these are labeled as 105 degrees Celsius capacitors, which I highly doubt. These are most likely forgeries or just knockoffs. So let's see what it does on under actual real world conditions. Just hang on. Okay, so what I got here is my 30 volt 5 amp power supply. And right now it's set to 1 volt, and if I short these together, we can get a full 5 amps out of this thing, no problem. But what we want to do is we want to connect this capacitor up, negative to negative, positive to positive, and just out of curiosity see what happens. Here we are, we're connected. So as I start raising the voltage, watch the current meter on what happens here. Now remember, these are 16 volt capacitors. See that? I didn't even hit 16 volts. It stopped at 14 and it started sucking current, and then it blew up. Now, that's what's left of my capacitor. You got to remember, if you're going to do this on yourself, this is very dangerous. This is not. Here's some paper. What's left of it, a little chunk of aluminum. But this is what you get from Aliexpress. A 16 volt capacitor that explodes at 14 volts. That shouldn't be happening. No, it shouldn't be happening at all. I'll get you a proper capacitor and we'll hook it up and we'll show you. These are 22 microfarad at 25 volts. This is what I used for doing recapping if I'm doing amplifiers and other equipment. So these are ones I bought at DigiKey. I paid probably 15 cents a piece for these, and they're quality capacitors. These are 105 degrees Celsius, and they're by Worth Electronic. They have a little WE. I guess they're made in Germany. A quality capacitor. Let's hook it up to the meter first and see what values we get. Okay, so we got it back on, let's get it back to ESR again. I got capacitor guts all over my bench. Okay, I got negative to negative, positive to positive. Now remember, this is 22 microfarad and this comes up at 20, which is within tolerance. And we have a 1.32 ESR, and our ESR should be under 2.1, which is good. So we have a good ESR, we have a good capacitance. Let's try it on the power supply and see what happens. Now, considering this is a 25 volt capacitor, I fully expect to go up to 25 volts and even beyond, because they're probably over-spec'd. Or should I say under-spec'd? Oh, we're not using that one, we're going to use this. Positive to positive, negative to negative. Let's start turning up the current or the voltage. So we're approaching 25 volts, and you can see it's not taking any current at all. It's acting like a capacitor, like it should. Now we're beyond 25 volts, and it's still behaving. There's a lot of stress on a capacitor when you over voltage it. Now I'm at the maximum for my power supply, and this has still survived. There's nothing wrong with that capacitor, and even if we go back to the operating voltage, it'll still perform perfectly. There's no heat, there's no current draw, there's no violent explosions. So this is what you get from DigiKey. You get a proper part. The ones you get from Aliexpress, I don't know about. Let's try some of these other ones. These are 50 volt, I believe. That's a 0.47. Let's get something a little more substantial. Here's a 22 microfarad at 50 volts. 22 microfarad at 50 volts. Let's turn it up. Well, it's surviving. But they were only putting 30 volts into a 50 volt capacitor. So let's try another one. What is this one? This is a 220 at 16 volts. We'll see if this even works up to 16 volts. And if you look at the top, they don't have the stamped safety pressure release in the top of the can. I'll point this thing away from me. Remember, this is a 16 volt capacitor. Oh, I'm surprised it's surviving. Oh, there we go. $15 volts. So it's hard on my ears. Yeah, that's what you buy. That's what your 2 cents buys you. What else we got here? Oh, that's a 470. We did a 470 already. Let's see, we got 100 here somewhere. That's 22. We tried that. 470. Put these ones away. I don't know what I'm going to use these for. I don't know. I wouldn't really trust them in a circuit. I wouldn't do a repair with them. What do we got here? What is this? Can't read it. 22. Oh, 0.22. 4716. Here's another one. 4716. Let's measure this on the tester first before we put power to it. And I just got another power cord, so I got to have both on at the same time. I don't know why I didn't do that at the start, but okay, 47 microfarad, 16 volts. Let's see what it measures out at. 47, and we're coming in at 38, which is far below the tolerance of this capacitor. A brand new capacitor shouldn't be that low. And oops, we have an ESR, should be around 1.6, and we're bang on the limit for ESR. Let's see how it fares with the power supply torture test. Negative to negative, positive to positive. Let's try this one out. We're at 13 volts, we're still good. This is a 16 volt cap. Well, we're at 15. 16. Surprising it's holding out. 17. You see that current rising. It'll go thermonuclear. Wow, this is really surprising me here. We're up at 20 volts. Should we go all the way? There we go. So that one did pretty well. It survived up to 26 volts. That surprised me. Pieces of everything all over the place. Okay, we got 220. We did that one. We didn't measure the 220, did we? So what you get for 2 cents a capacitor is this is pretty much all they're good for. Is just having a little bit of fun. I wouldn't use these on a repair for a customer. So 220 comes up at 175. 0.42 ESR, which actually should be, is a 16 volt cap? Yeah. 0.33. So we're over on our ESR. And we're way out of tolerance. So I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't use these for repairs. These are only good for if you want to do some experimentation on breadboards. But remember that they might even screw you up there too. If you start putting close to working voltage, they're going to start misbehaving. And yeah, well, I had wasted $2.18, but it was good education, I think. So avoid Aliexpress capacitors. So just for the hell of it, I want to show you what happens when you connect capacitors in reverse polarity, electrolytic capacitors eventually, because other capacitors it doesn't matter. When you have electrolytic that are marked with the polarity, and I just want to show you what happens. Here's a 47, what is this? Oh, 0.47 microfarad at 50 volts. So capacitance comes up okay, the ESR comes up okay. This is a 50 volt cap, so let's connect it the proper way around first. I got positive to positive, negative to negative. We'll start cranking up the voltage, see what happens here. I don't expect anything will happen. I'm pointing away from my face just in case. Okay, we're up at 31 volts, nothing's happened. Now let's connect this in reverse polarity. Just so you understand what happens when you put a capacitor in backwards. Okay, so we got positive to the negative side of the can. And watch the current meter as I start going up. It might not work because it's such a small capacitance value. Okay, I'm just going to leave it to cook there for a bit. It's drawing 30 milliamps, 40, 50, starting to heat up, 60, 70, 80, 90. Oof, that one got hot. Here's another one. It's 100 microfarad, 16 volts. I don't know if you can read those, it's so tiny. And it's a ChongX capacitor, 105 degrees Celsius. And this one doesn't, it's not vented. It doesn't have the stamped vent safety release on the top. I guess they figure if it's small enough it's not going to kill anybody. So let's check this one out. 100 microfarad, 16 volts. What does it measure up as? Oh, it's not bad. 93 and 0.46 ohms ESR. And yeah, it's right. This is actually a decent capacitor. It's within spec on both of these. I wonder, should we hook it up to 16 volts? See if it handles 16 volts? Let's hook it the right way around first. Negative to negative. And positive. And let's try if we can get 16 volts out of this. We're at 10. Getting close to the 15. There we go. 16 volts. It does it. No problem. It's actually a good capacitor in this bunch. Let's turn it around and see how it survives the reverse voltage torture test. So we got positive connected to the negative of the lead. I'm surprised it's gone this far. There we go. It's starting to suck current now. It's going to start heating up. Cover my eyes. That didn't do very much. I blew the bottom out. Blew the rubber seal out the bottom. But it's still sucking current. Let's turn it up a little more. No, it doesn't want to go. It's dead. Got a little bit hot. Let's see if our capacitor still works. Not. So this was 100 microfarad, now it's down to 21 with a 12 ohm ESR. Yeah, it's, and as that cools off, I think it'll get worse numbers. Garbage. So is my capacitor kit worth $2? No, not at all. I can't really use these for anything. They're not reliable. They're not consistent. They don't even meet their specs. So I would just leave them on Aliexpress for somebody else to buy. Like I said, you might be able to use them for doing experimentation work on a breadboard, and that's about as far as I would take them. I'll put these away and so I don't get mixed up with real capacitors.